everybody? Welcome back to Let's Talk. I am your host, John, and today here on the channel, we're going to be talking about one of my all-time favorite comedies, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and its brand new Shout Select 4K Blu-ray that just came out. But before we get into that 4K Blu-ray review, I always like to give a quick film review, and today is no different. So if you don't want to know anything about the film Ace Ventura and you're just here for that 4K Blu-ray review, you guys can skip ahead to that right now. So guys, I already did a full review of this movie with David aka Shamrock Balls on the Let's Talk Movies podcast last year, so I'm going to really direct you guys to that if you want to get like our full breakdown of the movie, kind of going through it joke by joke by joke. So this review will kind of be more bullet pointy, kind of just looking at the legacy of Jim Carrey and the film, and it won't be like, you know, my really in-depth reviews like I do, because again, I already did that. So I'd say, hey, go check that out, because David and I are both very big fans of Ace Ventura. Like I said, one of my top 5 favorite comedies of all time. This movie came out in February of 1994. Jim Carrey, one of the greatest comedic actors of all time, one of my personal favorites. This was my first favorite actor ever. I remember my 4th birthday, my dad giving me The Mask on VHS, and that's really what introduced me to Jim Carrey. And then of course I went back and I saw Ace Ventura. Like I said, that was the first one released that year. Jim Carrey wasn't a star yet. He was like a B player at that time. He was on In Living Color, given he was probably the funniest actor on that show, with plenty of other great comedic actors, and you know, the Wayans, David Allen Greer. That was one of my favorite shows. I always loved In Living Color, one of the best sketch comedy shows of all time, but he overshadowed the rest of the cast, and you kind of couldn't keep him contained. Even though he was in movies before Ace Ventura, this put him on the map. I mean, this was like a revelation to a lot of people, the stuff he's doing. You know, obviously, I've said it a million times, you know, comedy is very subjective. Everyone has a different taste in comedy. I've always kind of leaned towards that juvenile comedy, and a lot of that comes from Ace Ventura, The Mask, which came out in the summer, and then in December we got the Farrelly Brothers, Dumb and Dumber, which I consider to be the greatest comedy of all time. But Ace Ventura is always nipping at its heels with all the great quotes that are in this movie. I mean, there's just so much you can quote in this film. Even watching it again last night for this review, little things that I probably never really laughed at just because I've seen the movie so many times. It's like I'm starting just to notice little jokes that even, like, that maybe it's not even a joke, but it just makes me laugh. But Ace Ventura, when he comes home and, you know, the landlord shows up and he's like, Ventura, and then, you know, he pops up, he's like, yes, Satan? Oh, I'm sorry, sir. You sounded like somebody else. Always laughed at that, but I never really laughed at the guy's name. He's like, Mr. Chicken Dance. I'm like, Mr. Chicken Dance? Me and my wife's got a kick out of that one. Like, I always forget that, like, that's just a ridiculous name, and, you know, it just made me laugh this time around. You know, this movie's filled with, you know, one-liners, like I said, that I've been quoting just my entire life. My car, it's a high-performance machine. I have to fill it with premium. That's a very big one. The one I still use at my job, like, every time I go on break, if I have, like, a 30-minute lunch break, I'll go, if I'm not back in 30 minutes, just wait longer. You know, and of course he's doing impressions throughout this movie. Really what Jim Carrey was kind of becoming known for on, you know, the stand-up circuit. He's known for his great Clint Eastwood impression, even appears in, you know, one of the Dirty Harry sequels, Deadpool. This movie was obviously critically panned, like a lot of comedies are. Again, very subjective. I think it's very hard to review comedies because you and I and everybody else, we all find different things funny. There's people I know who do not like Jim Carrey's sense of humor and don't like Will Ferrell's sense of humor, and I put those guys 1 and 2 on my list. You can see the brand of comedy that I like, and that's kind of what molded my taste in comedy. Of course, I can appreciate some dry British humor here and there, and other forms of humor, like, you know, slapstick humor, I think is fantastic also, but you know, sometimes people don't find that kind of stuff funny, and you have to appreciate that. I think we all can cry at the same things. I think a dog dying or a human dying, most human beings, unless they're heartless, will cry at those things. But some people are just not going to find a guy talking out of his ass funny, and I get that, but I still find that funny. This movie's just filled with also a lot of great actors, kind of either before their time or maybe just past their time. You got Sean Young, who unfortunately her career kind of fell apart after like not getting the role in Batman '89 and making a fool of herself trying to get the role of Catwoman. You know, she kind of pops up in this movie, like really her last like big performance as Einhorn / Ray Finkel. You know, Finkel and Einhorn. Like, that stuff might not hold up to a lot of people. I'm not gonna lie, it still makes me laugh. I get that, you know, maybe, again, the juvenile humor maybe wouldn't stand the test of time today, but all the stuff in this movie is still gonna make me laugh. You even got like Tone Loc popping up in this movie, and you just forget that Tone Loc was just popping up around the like late 80s and 1990s. Also, the guy made Wild Thing and Funky Cole Medina. I'll always love those two songs. But he's a pretty good character in this movie. He pops up the next year in Heat, so just been watching a lot of Tone Loc lately. I wonder what he's up to lately. He was also in A Different World on an episode because my wife is always watching that show. So, you know, a lot of Tone Loc. Courtney Cox, same year that she's on Friends, is in this movie. Dan Marino gets like one of his only, starring roles, I guess, in a film. The Miami Dolphins are a big part of this film. We're trying to find Snowflake the Dolphin. He was kidnapped. It turns out it was Ray Finkel all along, the kicker who missed the game-winning Super Bowl, but, didn't join the team until halfway through the year. Got locked up in a mental institution and ends up taking the role of Lois Einhorn, who would have thought it, the lieutenant of the Miami Police Department. It all just comes together in a very silly movie that I still love to this very day. I'm sure a lot of you watching this review also love this movie, or else why would you be checking this out unless you're a fan of Ace Ventura? Again, I know not everybody is, but hey, it's one that still makes me laugh every single time I watch it. And this is one of the rare movies I can pretty much say I've seen over 100 times. Wore the VHS out, wore the DVD out, wore the Blu-ray out, and I'm sure this 4K Blu-ray, it's going to get some work done to it too. So let's talk about that right now.
How would you like me to make your life a living hell?
Well, I'm not really ready for a relationship, Lois, but thank you for asking.
And if you were here to hear me praise Ace Ventura, you're going to have to go back and watch the film review, because there's not going to be much praising going on with this 4K Blu-ray review, unfortunately, because here it is, the standard edition of the Shout Select version of Ace Ventura on 4K Blu-ray. There's also a 4K Steelbook you can get, which to me didn't really scream Ace Ventura. Like, I get what they're going for, but that looks something that would be more in line with, like, When Nature Calls on 4K Blu-ray. Not really, Miami Dolphins colors would have made sense, so I just went with, the regular movie poster, and this will replace my previously released Blu-ray right here. And if you're somebody like myself who is an extras junkie, you're going to be pretty disappointed. So let's, first, before we go any further, let's actually just unbox this bad boy. Same artwork underneath here in the standard edition. It is a 2-disc set, so you're going to have one 4K disc, one Blu-ray disc. The Blu-ray is a downscaled version of the brand new scan, which it does say it's a brand new scan of the camera negative. And that's all we can ever ask for. But that's all you're going to be getting here. Like, you guys probably heard my complaint of Time Cop earlier this year, and how I said, yeah, all you get is a visual upgrade. No other upgrades to the audio or to the extras. Nothing at all. Like, there are no extras on Time Cop. And I gave that a very negative review for that very reason, because I feel like that's extremely lazy. This one, they actually took extras away from the Blu-ray, because the Blu-ray actually had some episodes of the Ace Ventura animated series and the trailer. On this one, all of your extras are on the Blu-ray. They even have the balls to label it bonus features. And what is under bonus? Trailer. That's it. The trailer. You can watch the trailer. If you'd like, you can scroll over to bonus features in 2025 and check out the trailer for Ace Ventura. That's it. Sorry about that. One of my favorite comedies of all time. Kind of gets treated like a joke, which is really unfortunate from Shout Select. This is literally the version of let's just upgrade the visuals, and that is it. Because the audio, same exact audio. There is a mono track that wasn't on the previously released Blu-ray. You can actually just watch it on the 2.0, or you can watch the same DTS HD Master Audio 5.1, which in my opinion is not a very good audio track. Unfortunately, you're going to sit there with the remote. The dialogue is way too low. I can turn that up and fix it, make it dialogue enhanced, but you shouldn't have to do that. That's a little bit ridiculous. Like that I would have to go into my settings on my soundbar to change that so that I have a more enhanced audio. It should be mixed well, and if you knew it was a bad audio track, like it's been a bad audio track, you should have redone it. You should have gave us a new audio track, especially when you're charging still over $30 for this 4K Blu-ray. So no upgrades to the audio. Again, not good audio. So the real only upgrade you're going to be getting is because they gave us a new scan of the camera negative, and we get HDR10 and Dolby Vision. You're going to get an upgrade in that 4K Blu-ray. The Blu-rays, when you compare the old Blu-ray and the new Blu-ray, it is an upgrade because the scan is redone, and they fixed a lot of issues on what, in my opinion, is a pretty bad Blu-ray for Ace Ventura. So the Blu-ray is an upgrade, but if you want a true upgrade, you're going to have to go up to the 4K Blu-ray, because the high dynamic range and the Dolby Vision are definitely doing the most work. But it's not a perfect 10 out of 10 transfer to the naked eye. But I do think while watching it, I can notice that the problems with like the 4K as far as like the visuals, anytime they're really like outdoors, like in the first third of the movie, the first time like when they're talking about a pet detective and we cut to him on the roof, like that looks very murky. It looked like that on the Blu-ray. It looked even worse. It looks much better on the 4K. I just think that, that's just the source material thing. It's the location they were filming on. They just probably didn't have the greatest lighting, and that's just never going to translate well to 4K, because when we get to the visuals, like say at the what's that, Cannibal Corpse concert, and then the New England Manhattan Clam Chowder thing, like all those interior shots, beautiful. Some of the best looking stuff of 2025, in my opinion. That stuff looks great. The sharpness and just in general, because I thought the Blu-ray was very, it was very soft looking. They definitely sharpened it up, and I think it looks very improved. Skin just looks much more natural. Not in every scene, but anytime they're in like controlled environments, in interiors. I mean, again, it looks absolutely stunning. A very colorful movie in general. I never even realized that Roger Berdactor was wearing blue pants until it stuck out to me on this 4K Blu-ray. Even like the green shirt to get the water on the shirt, it's all so noticeable now because your eyes get drawn to it because of the new, increase to 4K quality, and the colors and everything just looks more natural. I thought it could have looked maybe a little bit bolder, maybe turn the saturation up just a little bit more, but that's kind of minor complaints. Overall, I am very happy with the visuals. Even, like I said, not a perfect 10 out of 10, but it's like an 8.5, 9 out of 10, but that's the only upgrade you're getting. And for me, for 4K Blu-ray to be over $30 to only get an upgrade to the visuals, and not like Barry Lyndon qualities of upgrade either. Like, this is like a nice upgrade, but it's not something that's going to knock your socks off because, again, it's Ace Ventura. I just wanted it to look better than the Blu-ray, and it does, and I'm happy with this, but this is one where I should have bought in like the Shocktober 50% off sale, which it probably won't be in this year, so you'll have to wait a good amount of time until it does go on sale, but do not buy this for over $30. Hold on to that Blu-ray, and we're here asking for them to give us brand new comedies on 4K Blu-ray, and they give us something like this. This doesn't help the comedies on 4K bandwagon, unfortunately. Between this and Tommy Boy, and also Clueless, I've been pretty disappointed with comedies this year, even though I haven't seen Uncle Buck. Heard that's a great transfer on 4K for comedies. We do have Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore coming to 4K pretty soon, so hopefully those are good transfers as well. It's just, a little disappointing. They did the Shaft with the extras, and I feel like Ace Ventura didn't get the respect, in my opinion, that it deserves as one of the greatest comedies, and they should have gave us something. I mean, they could have put a little bit more effort in. This should not be in the same category as Time Cop. To me, this is a comedy classic and a classic of the 1990s, and it deserved better. How would I rate this 4K Blu-ray on a score of 1 to 10? I'm going to give this one I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 10. I am very let down. This is the biggest disappointment of 2025 for me. Tommy Boy maybe is like right on the same par with that, but I have much more of a connection with Ace Ventura than I do with Tommy Boy. So I am very let down by this one. Pick it up in a sale if you just want to see that visual upgrade. Just, again, don't expect too much from this. I feel like we were pretty let down by this. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me here in another episode of Let's Talk. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and if you did, make sure you guys like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel if you could. We also have channel membership, so if you want to become a friend of the channel, a producer for the channel like John Doe Juggalo and Ben Rondo, you can do that, or you can even become a channel director like Stone Gasman, Kevin Kruger, Uncle V, Nicholas Head, and the legendary Frank from Frank's Media and Reviews, or of course you can become a channel bankroll member like Mr. Smelly Potato. But if you got no money to throw away, guys, don't worry about it. We just hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, get out in the streets, tell your friends about us, and then we'll be seeing you around.